Hey guys, off in MudMowers. Today, we're going to be working on the Honda by 4. Enjoy! So far I've gotten these hubs mounted up. They're not fully mounted up, they're just kind of sitting there for now. But they should be all good. You can see you got the axle sitting in there now. There's nothing in that transmission, it doesn't have a bottom on it. So I got longer, I guess you can call them studs now. If I can get one of these off. Like that. So I used the original threads, threaded the bolt in there, and then welded it up there, so you can effectively have a stud now. So that should work nicely. Got both sides done. And you can also see I've got my shifter coming up here. So I got one of these heim joints. Zoom in there, it's just a heim joint. Goes back to the bolt for a locking nut, and then the heim joint. I think that's a 1/4 inch rod. It's about 49 inches long, I think. I took one of these shifting arms, and usually they're bent up. Right about there where you can see that black line. So I heated it up, pounded it flat, and then I took another one of these bolts, stuck it up that way, welded it on behind it, and then I kind of have something to set the heim joint, and then thread the nut on. So that goes back there, just like that, and it just slightly rubs on this. If I need to, I can put like a piece of nylon for it to rub on, but I'm not too worried about it. Goes back there to the same little deal. On this part of the shifter, I've got this. It moves a little bit stiff because it was a hydro, so I need to disassemble the spring in there so it moves fine. And instead of making like a little arm and a bell crank and then that, what I might try doing is taking this, extending it out, and then adding a rod on that just drops down here. The rod might point a little bit this way so the length's a little bit long, and then as you shift it, it would move it like this, so I could just kind of use one arm to do all of it. So see about doing that, it would be a lot more simpler than just trying to drop a link down there and go for the belts and whatnot. Also got the radiator just kind of sitting in here. There's that. I got the fan on it like that, and this thing pops up and whatnot. I also clear coated that black shroud just so it doesn't look all plain and dull like it was. There's my front pulley. Put some paint on it, and the 2 pulleys are just sitting down there. There's a motor mount that goes on here, which I've had off like almost forever, and it goes to this one right there, and this one right here. And the only thing I have to cut out is just a little bit of a slot for that pulley. That should be all good. Most of the stuff on it is for the original clutch, the big disc clutch or whatever they used on that, so it's not really going to be too important. Finally got these holes drilled on these 2 pieces to put these bolts in. That bolt's a little bit bent up, but these are just temporary bolts I was testing it out with. I got some real bolts like fine thread, so I can really get it tight. On this one, if I need to, I could take out that set screw and then weld all of this back, just so this has a little bit more strength to it. But I'm not really too worried about side to side. I'm more worried about pushing it like that. So it should be pretty strong. If I have any problems with it, I'll probably try to weld that in. I got these bolts in there now, so it's nice and tight and solid. The only play is right in there, but that's because it's not even tight. There's my clutch. Works out nicely. That might be the spring I use. I think it's a little bit too weak. I might try that, maybe even set it back, not a hole, but that should work nicely. I've also got a Well, I did find the pulley that fits on this correctly, and then when I might have to bend that, well actually, you can pull back on this, and if I had a tighter spring I'd pull back even more to get that little stopper from hitting it, but when you clutch it, it pinches the belt, so it should stop it at least. This bracket here is a little bit too big for this pulley. I could sand the pulley down, but then the belt's just going to hit it, so I'm going to cut it off and put a piece out here a little bit more so it looks better. And I'll put a spring back on it, something like that. Could even put it like so it pulls it back this way. That might work pretty well, just pull it back like that. After I got this nice setup all done, it's got some play in it. Well, half of it, like I said, from that bolt is being loose. The other half is being made by this loose bushing, which I like this. Because these are just sleeves, they don't really work too well. They're not like very precise. So I did pick up a few of these. These are actual sleeves. There's no slits in them that make it whatever. I'd call this more like a bushing. They call it a spacer, but I'd say it's more like a sleeve. So I'm gonna cut these two out and then replace them with these. And I really should have like no play in this setup. That should work out nicely. Rims are painted, just letting them dry. Hopefully the light will help them dry a little bit quicker. I've also got the carburetor hooked up now. So these spacers went in there now to take it away from the exhaust manifold, which now you can see there's just enough room to allow for a little bit of a gap. This side's pretty good too. If I notice like something like it's not running right, I can do a couple other things to it, like put some heat shields behind it and whatnot. That should work out nicely. These studs I have in here, if I can take, well, just believe me, but the studs are not long enough, and it's really hard to find two size studs because that's 5/16 and this is quarter 20, I think, quarter 24. When I turn that, it's also turning that the direction it should be, and then push the clutch in, and this should break free like that. So now it's just down there free spinning, let the clutch out, tightens up again. If it's in gear, it's going to like lose traction instantly, but another problem is when I push these in, the belt kind of falls out of the pulleys. I've got these little belt guards that will keep it all nice and tight and should disengage pretty quickly. So this piece is here drying. This is the engine mount. It bolts up like that, and this would kind of sit behind the front engine pulley. So all I did was just cut a little section out that used to kind of go like this, I think. There also used to be a nut on here somewhere, so I cut it out. There was a hole, and I welded it back in. It used to be pretty much about here. There used to be a nut. So yeah, it should be all good now. It fits the pulley nicely. So that's it down dry. New bushings. Those welded up, just very simple welds so I can grind them off next time I need to. There we go. And got new bolts in. These are fine thread, like grade 5 quarter 24 bolts. That, and then got the set screws to tighten down. So I literally, like, the only play is, I put to get you guys. It's just so minimal now. Like it's very small. And you can see the second I push this. Put a hitch pin with a washer on that, and let's see if I can get you guys. So it's all nice and tight. I also welded up this here now and cut a little slot so I get the set screw. And I actually didn't drop the set screw in. I put it in from here. I put it in like that, and then just made the hole big enough to put the wrench in there and tighten it up. But hopefully that should be strong enough now to withstand a lot more movement and whatever. But yeah, glad I got the clutch pretty much done now. I'd call it done when I'm completely done taking it all apart. I'll make sure to put some Loctite on these set screws there. But yeah, gas pedal's all nice. Just dripped a little bit of oil on it there. Clutch is all nice. I also put my hitch pins in like that because if a branch or a stick comes up, it can only push it in more. It can't push it out unless I'm going in reverse. So yeah, that's just the way I like to do my hitch pins and stuff like that. Here's the carburetor. This used to be a carriage bolt with the head used to be up here. Cut that off. Cut down a little bit shorter. And then that's where it's going to be cut. And this will be, I think it's 5/16 to thread into this. Go right about there. And then these threads will cut with a die to 1/28, I believe. So, kind of my homemade stud. Go like that, and then like that with that spacer too. Just because this was too short, and I looked everywhere and I can't really find the stud that's two sized with the length I need and whatnot. And even if I did, it'd probably be 2 weeks shipping, so hopefully that should work. Gotta make one more of these, and then I can try putting this on. Gotta get, I think it's just 2 gaskets made up, one for this, set this on, one for that, and then this goes on, and then this one's got an O-ring on it, so yeah. And I've also got, I bought a gasket for this here. This steering wheel might be a little bit difficult just because the angle this might be at to get up here and get in the correct spot, but should be able to get that done. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I've got some stuff to do. Hopefully I can get the shifter done. I'm going to cut all this useless stuff off of here. And then should be almost ready to get this thing running. I do have to weld a little thing on the water pump because it fell off one time. That's pretty much how I got this tractor, is because it wouldn't turn over because it fell off. But anyways, stay tuned for more.